my desk every day women getting into trouble financially. They've worked their hearts out. Some of them haven't, some of them are crazy wild people who deserve what they get. But the vast majority of those people are facing tragedy and ruin because they were naive, because they had the wrong sort of assumptions, and because they didn't have the skills and the know-how. And what Hannah Rosen talks about, amongst other things, is she says women are getting much cleverer than they used to be. Women are getting smarter about money and about relationships and about getting pregnant too early, etc. And she says, for example, at the colleges, women are getting much cleverer. They are deciding when to let the men in. They're deciding which men to choose for recreational purposes. And they're deciding... It's astounding and terrifying how much money we need. And it's right. I was told many years ago, never took any notice of it, that all the medical costs you have before you, turn 60 will not equal anywhere near as much you're going to need after that. In fact, they said, I think 80% of your life's medical costs happen after 60. That's why you shouldn't do it, because there are no legal rights. People argue with me out of every crowd. I'm surprised somebody hasn't said, you're wrong there, yet from this audience. Maybe I just got lucky. People will say, after 6 months I get all the rights, I'm entitled to everything. I say, oh really? Where'd you learn this? No, everybody knows that. You magazine. There are no rights for the so-called common law wife. The so-called common law wife and the whole living together and free love and the whole thing came from the 60s. God, the 60s were a lot of fun. Of course, you wouldn't know that. But they were a lot of fun. Although I didn't get a lot of that free love, I have to say. Most people I know will say the same thing. We have Hindu marriages, Islamic marriages, and African customary marriages. They're as bad as each other in terms, I'm not criticizing them. It's the law, it's not behind them. The African customary law to some extent, because the law basically says if you register and if you do this, then maybe you will have a claim for half. But the society that those people live in, who haven't got a normal registered marriage, isn't going to help you get to half. Generally speaking. Not always, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, not being married with a registered marriage is a tough place to be. Even if your marriage is registered, even if it's backed by the laws of the country, it's a tough place to be, to enforce your rights. The things you must never do. And this should be governed by an agreement, and it's one of the points that's coming up. You must not pay for his assets. And I say the same thing to the men. You know, it's all very well saying, we'll do this if we had a business agreement, and these are ours, and here are the circumstances under which we pay for them, etc., etc. But I come to that. Don't pool your money. It's all very well to have a single account for the housekeeping. That is if it's worthwhile keeping a separate account. What if he dies? What happens to your bank account? It gets slammed shut. Boom! Yes, the money is frozen. You can't touch your own money. I think shared responsibility and shared planning is fantastic. But that doesn't mean that you can't ever move. Thank God the days are gone of the matrimonial power.
I thought it was absolutely fantastic, especially for the youngsters to actually know what they're getting involved in, rather than later on in life when they've landed in trouble.
I would recommend this talk to absolutely everyone, and if more ladies and even men knew about, you know, all the subjects that were covered in the talk, it would certainly change a lot of lives.
I think it was a very informative talk, a very important one from behalf of women's side. I think every woman actually needs to know the business side of any relationship or marriage. So, yeah, great, thank you.